Hi guys! So I heard about some new DC TV shows announcements during a 2026 Animation Film Festival in France about a week ago. And since I like to talk about old school channels and Marvel plus DC content, this could be a good timing to talk about how far DC animated shows have come. So hope you enjoy this video! Okay, so DC animated shows traces back all the way to 1940s, with Superman being the first character to get an animated show. Although it's basically just an animated superhero short films that were made by Fleischer Studios. The 1960s would soon have a few DC cartoon shows. You got The New Adventures of Superman, The Adventures of Superboy, Aquaman, and The Adventures of Batman. They also do what is called the Hour blocks, where you got the Batman Superman Hour and the Superman Aquaman Hour of Adventures. The 1970s and 80s is where some interesting shows, such as the 1979 Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show, 1981 The Kids Superpower Hour with Shazam, plus the 1988 Superman show, as well as the New Adventures of Batman. While the biggest one and most recognizable show of all time that aired from Hanna-Barbera is Super Friends, and my favorite season from the show was called The Challenge of Super Friends. While Swamp Thing was one of those shows that did not last long, the 90s, however, had WB Kids aired some shows that really sparked a new era of DC cartoon shows, starting with Batman the Animated Series. This was one of the most recognizable Batman shows out there, but not only that, it also kickstarted a shared universe. So basically, throughout the 90s and early 2000s was nothing but shows part of the DCAU, such as Superman the Animated Series, a new revival season from Batman called The New Adventures of Batman and Robin, a new Batman show that focused on futuristic new Batman called Batman Beyond. Static Shock, a show that I think I remember watching, but is part of the DCAU as well. And of course, a spin-off show from Batman Beyond called The Santa Project. 2001 was when Cartoon Network aired the last two shows from the DCAU called Justice League, followed by Justice League Unlimited in 2004. 2003 was when Cartoon Network aired a popular show called Teen Titans. From 2004 to 8, this is when Cartoon Network aired a mixture of Batman and Superman related cartoon shows. You got The Batman, which was a show that everybody remembers and probably everyone's introduction of Batman. For Superman, 2005 and 6 pretty much had Crypto the Superdog and Legion of Superheroes. And the last show from the 2000s was Batman the Brave and the Bold that aired in 2008 and crossed over with Scooby-Doo in 2018. 2010s was a very interesting decade. This is when Cartoon Network introduced DC Nation that launched on March 3, 2012. DC Nation brought in some shorts that featured characters being their own animated styles, while it also expanded with some shows too, like Young Justice that aired in 2010 and a great computer anime show called Green Lantern that aired on 2011. The other computer anime show was called Beware the Batman. This show is pretty much one of those underrated ones that most fans forget sometimes. And of course, Channel 13 would air the long ongoing show called Teen Titans Go. It's basically a remake to Channel 3's Teen Titans show, and it would expand it with some DVD films and a theater film too. DC Nation would soon stop around 2014, and while some shows were cancelled, fans had to wait until 2016 when Justice League Action aired on Cartoon Network. 2019 would be the year when Cartoon Network aired a show called DC Superhero Girls. The thing is, 2015 was the year when YouTube had a show with the same name on it, where it takes the DC characters to a superhero school. While the 2019 version of the show was very different and even crossed over with Teen Titans Go. Okay, now we get into the streaming era, where on September 15, 2018, the DC Universe app was launched. Originally, this was an app that lets you read comics while watching old shows and new ones too that were exclusive on there before it moved into HBO Max, and the app became just a comic book one. The original shows that were once on there was the revival season of Young Justice that had a season 3 in 2019 and a season 4 on HBO Max in 2021. There was also Harley Quinn in 2019 that brought in a very Adult Swim tone that lasted around 5 seasons in 2025. It also had a spin-off show called Kite Man in 2024. And by the time HBO Max became a thing, it used to have a show called Aquaman King of Atlantis in 2021 before it got taken off the app. The other show that was on HBO Max in 2024 was an anime show called Suicide Squad. The only ongoing shows so far are shows like Bat Wheels that aired in 2022 when Cartoon Network had its own baby channel called Cartoonio. There's also My Adventures with Superman that came out in 2023. And finally, 2024's Batman Cape Crusader that was on Amazon Prime alongside another show called Bat Fam, where it's a spin-off from its film called Merry Little Batman. And the only show I did watch was Creature Commandos due to being part of the DCU. Even if it is an Adult Swim show, it has some good moments. Knowing that's a lot of shows from 2020 eras, the animation festival kinda sparked some attention from the DC fanbase. Because there's about 7 upcoming new projects, some probably from the DCU, and the other shows probably being its own standalone show. You got My Adventures with Green Lantern, a spin-off show to My Adventures with Superman, and which could be seen as a new shared universe similar to DCU. Up next is DC Superpowers, where it looks like it's going to be similar to the 2015 DC Superhero Girls. It also inspired from the classic 1980s Superpower collection, and is also described as a superpowered breakfast club. Next is Starfire, and due to the list of upcoming shows, I have no clue which one is DCU and which one is Elseworlds. But the only DCU show that I know of is Mr. Miracle, and it's kind of cool we're getting some characters from the New Gods comics created by Jack Kirby. Then you got Crypto, a show that is probably going to be made for kids. The Joker Laugh Riot is going to be an anime type of style show like the Suicide Squad one, and it has an interesting plot that's about after the murder of Batman, the Joker launches a ruthless crusade through Gotham's underworld to hunt down the killer, ultimately facing an external crisis without the greatest adversary. And then you get the last show that everyone is talking about. As much as I hardly read today's comics, I am aware of a popular alternate universe called Absolute Universe, where it takes the DC characters to a dark and mature area, and is pretty much the modern version of the 2000s Ultimate Marvel Universe. So basically, due to the popularity and the upcoming action figures and Funko Pops, it is getting an animated show called Absolute Batman. And it's kind of hard to tell if it's going to be adapted from the comics, like comics to screen like style, similar to Invisible and or other anime shows. Or maybe it's its own thing. But at least Scott Snyder is going to be the show's runner, so that's green flag. But you know what? It looks like DC Animation might make a comeback. And even if some may be TVMA or for kids or something, it is cool that we're getting a variety of heroes getting their own shows that have never been done before alongside some interesting Batman titles. And I have zero clue if any of these shows will be on HBO Max or Paramount Plus, if the merge becomes a thing. And knowing that's a lot of shows to cover up and probably have made a long video, the question now is, for the new fans who are interested in trying out these cartoon shows, where can I watch them? Well, as I was checking very carefully, HBO Max has 5 of the main DCAU shows, 2 Batman shows, and today's shows too, plus all seasons of Young Justice. It used to have Green Lantern and Teen Titans, but oh well. But, however, Tubi has a few of the DC shows that aired on HBO Max alongside the Superman Fleischer cartoons, Swamp Thing, Static Shock, and Teen Titans. And just now, Crypto the Super Dog. And sooner or later, we will one day include some DC shows like Adventures of Batman, Aquaman, Beware the Batman, Legion of Superheroes, Super Friends, The New Adventures of Batman, and the Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show. And I think that is it for this video. And wow, a very cool history journey nostalgia of the DC animated shows. What was some of your favorite DC shows growing up as a kid? And I'll probably do the same thing, similar video to the Marvel animation shows too. And as always, thanks for watching and see you guys next time. Bye! If you enjoyed that video, please subscribe, share a like, ring the notification bell, and check out other videos in my channel too. Thanks for watching. Bye!